As the series has been focused on the Rocks Pirates recently, a lot of people have been discussing their strength and saying how they're the most powerful crew to ever exist. So, in today's video, I'll be putting that to the test and putting the Rocks Pirates up against every single Yonko crew that's ever existed in One Piece to see if they would win every single time. So, strap in because I'm about to get real in depth with this video. But before I do jump into the video, if you guys do enjoy content like this, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe, as I do post content like this regularly, and to be honest, it's a win-win. You guys show me love and support and I give it back to you in the form of videos. Whether it's One Piece, other anime, or just fiction in general, in due time I plan on covering it, so be there when I go there. But I feel like I've rambled on long enough, so I'll jump straight into the video and see if the Rocks Pirates can take down every Yonko crew in One Piece. Now before I do actually jump into the versus battles, I'm going to have to go over the rules so you guys know what I'm doing this by. The first rule will cover where it's going to be at and why they're going there for. And it'll be on God Valley, and every crew will be going there to go and get whatever rocks we're trying to collect. The second rule is that all fleets will be allowed. The third rule is that I'll be using the strongest iteration of each crew. And the fourth rule is that if anybody who's in the Yonko crew now were fighting for the Rocks Pirates, I'll still have them fighting for their new crew. It's just that there will be two versions of them on the battlefield. And the final versions of this is that the Rocks Pirates will be the God Valley versions of themselves, not the strongest iterations of themselves, as well. It would make too much of a mess. So we'll be using the Rocks Pirates God Valley versions, and for the crews we'll be using their strongest iterations. So with that being said, I feel like I've covered everything I need to cover here, so why don't we jump straight into the battles. And so starting off, we have Cross Guild. Now, with them all converging onto the island, it's up to mainly Mihawk and a little bit of Crocodile to get them through this. And so Mihawk will have to rush in to fight Rocks, and Crocodile and the rest of them will have to fight everybody else. Now, Mihawk will put up a very good fight and will hold his own, but in the end, it isn't enough, unfortunately. Yeah, Mihawk can't carry that whole entire crew by himself. I mean, Crocodile is pretty strong now, so I think he should be able to do something, but the people he's going to have to be fighting will make him look like he hasn't really advanced much since the pre-time skip. The people that he has to fight here are way too powerful, so yeah. Buggy can try get his way out of this, but nah, it doesn't really end well for them, so yeah, this is an L up on the board for Cross Guild. Moving on from Cross Guild, we have the Big Mom Pirates. Now, with them converging onto the island, Big Mom is gonna know what they're there for, and so she would tell everybody, and since she actually knows all of the Rocks Pirates, this then allows her to tell her children what to do and who to fight. So that is exactly what they do, and they converge onto the island, and when they are fighting, you will see Katakuri and all of his other siblings fighting who they are meant to be fighting, as that's who their mom told them to fight. Now, Big Mom is obviously going to have to fight Rocks, and she will take him on head on. She will also know that she may not actually want to fight her kids, I mean her younger self. So that may actually render one of the biggest Rocks Pirates just out of the fight. So can they still win this? Well, when you have many people in the battlefield like Whitebeard, Shiki, Silver Axe, I mean the list goes on, I don't even know if they would be able to do a number on young Kaido. I don't think the Big Mom Pirates have enough firepower, and Big Mom would eventually just lose to Rocks anyway, even if her younger version is just sat out of this fight. So, what does that mean? It means the Big Mom Pirates, after a very long fight, do go down. So yeah, let's put another L up on the board. Moving on from the Big Mom Pirates, we have the Blackbeard Pirates. And the Blackbeard Pirates converging onto God Valley, Blackbeard will probably know what was there, so he knows what to do. he'll meet his pops and he'll tell him that he is ready to show him that he is the bigger and better man, and he will succeed where Rocks failed. And so they get to fighting. Now Blackbeard will fight Rocks, Kuzan will fight Whitebeard or somebody like that, and the rest of the crew will figure out who they are going to fight. Now I will say that compared to the last two crews, this crew is definitely far more qualified to fight the Rocks Pirates, with an admiral on their side and very high level, commander level characters. They can put the work in, but where they fall short is the fact that they are on the level of some of the Rocks Pirates, but they aren't as strong. Rocks outclasses Blackbeard, Kuzan is then outclassed by Whitebeard, and everybody else on the crew is then outclassed by the person they are fighting. I do believe that this is actually a good matchup, but it's just the fact that they are then outclassed. Blackbeard could do a few funny things, but with him not being able to nullify a devil fruit that we don't know if his father does have, probably may, but it doesn't look like he does have a devil fruit. So what then happens then? Obviously his father is a Haki demon, as we have seen, so where does this leave us? It leaves us with Blackbeard most likely ending up in the ground. The Quake fruit will do him wonders, I won't lie, and you could even make an argument that he will dwindle Rocks down enough for maybe if Kuzan can beat Whitebeard to then come in and take him down. Now with Kuzan and Whitebeard, this fight is extremely weird, as I don't believe that this is prime Whitebeard. I think that past this point, I do believe that him, Roger and Garp obviously got stronger, even if it's just by a little bit, but that does make a difference, as I do believe that Kuzan can bang with some of the biggest dogs, and especially since he is going to be a little bit weaker here, you could make an argument that he can go toe to toe with him and then see who can win on the opposite end. It's just the fact that everybody else that's below Kuzan then starts to struggle. Somebody like Shiryu can't stand up to somebody like Silver Axe or Shiki, and everybody down below him just can't do it. Vanalga can't do anything. We then have Pizarro, who is definitely going to get sliced up into shreds or just dealt with by somebody. It's a good matchup, but as I said, they could be on their level, but they're just not as strong as them, meaning that yes, unfortunately for the Blackbeard Pirates, after Blackbeard loses to his father and Kuzan goes down after a valiant fight against Whitebeard, they lose. They have the numbers, but they don't have that overall strength to take them down. Following up on the Blackbeard Pirates, we have the Beast Pirates, and they would rush in. Kaido would know what they are there for, and he does have a grudge against Rocks from what we can tell, so he'd go in and fight him. Now, how well would he be able to fight against Rocks? Personally, I don't think that he can beat Rocks, but he does put up a valiant fight, and so it just leaves the rest of his crew to at least put up a fight. And so the second strongest on the Beast Pirates is King. And wait, let me check who King has to oh, he's fighting Whitebeard. Alright, do I have to explain what happens here? Like, Whitebeard, yeah, King doesn't put up a fight. Shiki or Silver Axe can fight Queen. Once you go down the list, and then you then get to a certain point where we have then the gifters or just other people, like you can even have Hawkins and whatnot involved as well, but when you have those people involved as well, you can then have people like Big Mom coming in to steal many of their souls and just empower herself. Remember, this is a young Big Mom too, meaning that she has years of her life to give away. I just don't see I don't see them winning. You can try and make an argument, but I just don't see it. So yeah, that is another L for the Yonko. Up next are the Red-Haired Pirates, and with Shanks landing on God Valley to obviously go to where he was dumped off, he would run into Rocks and the Rocks Pirates, and he'd heard stories and stuff, so he would know what to do. he would tell his best men to get onto their best men, and him and Rocks would have to hash it out. Now, this is where their fight would be very, very interesting. They'll go back and forth, but just like every other crew, it's just the overwhelming strength of the Rocks Pirates. Now, you could then make an argument that Ben Beckman has some sort of hidden power that we don't know of, and he could be hanging in there with Whitebeard. But we're seriously expecting Lucky Rude to hang in there with Shiki or Silverax. And then you have Yasop having to fight either one of those two as well. And then you have people who have to fight Big Mom. But Lime Juice is gonna fight Big Mom? Like, as we go down the list, there just isn't enough people to fight the overwhelming strength that the Rocks Pirates gives. And you can say that while yes, they are pretty strong, the Redhead Pirates are strong, they are not a weak crew, not by any means. But when you're put in there with some of the biggest dogs, and your biggest dog can hang with, or you could say that Shanks may even struggle, not struggle, but if he were to fight with Whitebeard at that time, he would just barely win. Then what are we really doing here? Rocks would obviously have to try his all, and he would obviously win in the end, but after trying his all, his crew can then clean up. There isn't anybody to help Shanks the exact same way Roger and Garp helped each other back then. So yeah, this is an unfortunate L, and obviously another L in the video for the Redhead Pirates, but for the Yonko overall. Up next are the Straw Hat Pirates, and they have their full grand fleet there to take down the Rocks Pirates. Now, none of them really know what's going on. Maybe Hydrogen would know, but nobody really knows what's going on. They're only there to fight Rocks and obviously, well, get the treasure, since Luffy wants the treasure and summoned everybody in, so they go. Now, among his grand fleet, we have people like Yamato, Momonosuke, Hydrogen, Bartolomeo, and just many other people. So how would they be able to face this threat? Now, with Luffy being able to go in there and fight Rocks, it then leaves Zoro to fight Whitebeard, Sanji to go ahead and fight Shiki or Silver Axe, and obviously Yamato will join him as well. And then the rest of the crew and just everybody else in the Grand Fleet will find their own matchups as it goes on. So how would they be able to do this? Well, let's start off at, let's say, Yamato versus Silver Axe. Now, Yamato versus Silver Axe would be interesting if Silver Axe wasn't confirmed to be Shiki's rival, and we know that Shiki was a top tier at the time, somebody who would then go on to then challenge Roger and be a part of the greatest pirates, and obviously fought Garp and Sengoku later on, so we do know that he is somebody that you do not want to trifle with. So where does this leave Silver Axe? Well, Silver Axe is extremely strong, and yeah, Yamato versus Silver Axe would be like Kaido versus Yamato. Yamato will stall. She'll realize that she can't do much aside from endure attacks until she then is whittled down and loses. So what would happen is they continue their fight. It will go on for a little bit, but then she'd lose, leaving him able to just roam around and fight somebody else or just go for the treasure. So moving on, we have Shiki versus Sanji. Now, I love Sanji to death. I love him to death. Like, I'm serious. I love Sanji to death, but there isn't a single thing he's doing to Shiki. Like, Shiki, like, okay, look, Sanji will try his hardest. He will talk about the power of love and everything. Like, you know, everybody will give their little speech and whatnot, but in the end, Sanji will get obliterated and taken down by Shiki. So that's another L for the Straw Hat Pirates. So you move on to Zoro versus Whitebeard, and I don't think I need to tell anybody anything else aside from Whitebeard is going to literally split Zoro in half. Zoro will give it his all, and Whitebeard will probably be like, you know what, you're pretty strong. You're stronger than some people on this crew, but You're not where you're at. You're not at my level yet. So he then gets put down. And so where does this leave Luffy and Rocks? The exact same thing happens. Like with everybody else, he'll put up a valiant fight, but in the end, Rocks will take him down. And may possibly even try to steal his devil fruit as he dies. So yeah, that is an L for the Straw Hat Pirates. And so finally, we have the Whitebeard Pirates. Now, as everybody's been losing, we're gonna take some creative liberties. And what are they? Well, what they are is pretty simple. I'm going to be including Blackbeard here. Yeah. Now you may be asking, okay, so do Whitebeard and Blackbeard both have the Quake Fruit? And yes, let's just say that they found a little patch around it, and so they begin their fight. And so with the Whitebeard Pirates arriving onto God Valley, they would have a great understanding of what they're going up against and who they need to target. You see, because Whitebeard was here, and obviously Big Mom, when she was there, was obviously fully aware of everything, but I feel like Whitebeard was a little bit more knowing. It just seems that way. So with Whitebeard knowing everybody on the crew, their weaknesses and whatnot, he would know who to put on who. And so who he would fight is obviously Rocks. Then he'd have Blackbeard face his younger self, and then he'd have Oden face Shiki. Who would face Silver Axe is actually a mix between two people, and that would be Ace and Marco. Then he'd set the rest of the crew on the rest of the Rocks Pirates. Now what you then see is that he would double people up on certain Rocks Pirates, saying that they don't need to actually defeat them, just stall, as over time people then start to get whittled down, and he will then come in to then deal with it in the end. As he's obviously fought alongside Rocks for a very long time, and he's matured since he's been on Rocks' crew, he would know what to do against Rocks. Now, this comes down to whether you think that Whitebeard is stronger than Rocks when he then obviously grows stronger and matures past this point. Do you believe that Whitebeard grows stronger than Rocks, is on the exact same level as Rocks, or do you believe that he's a little bit weaker? Me personally, I can argue them being on the exact same level, or Whitebeard a tiny bit weaker. But what changes this is the fact that you heard me say Marco and Ace are doubling up, but what Marco will do is fly around the battlefield periodically and dish out his heals, mainly to Oden, Blackbeard and Whitebeard. So with Whitebeard then getting help, even if it's minor healing, that healing can change everything. Rocks is getting whittled down while Whitebeard is being healed, and Ace is struggling a lot. He's getting bad, but Marco is helping him, and Marco is doing a lot right now. And so what would happen is, as their forces are starting to get whittled down, Whitebeard will be able to come over the edge after being healed by Marco and defeat Rocks. Then he team up with Blackbeard. They then take down his younger self. Then it will just go down and down, and at this point Marco is he's exhausted, he's out. But everybody else is at a decent level to where they can gang up on the rest of the Rocks Pirates and win. Yes, this fight is extremely interesting, and I do believe that with me having to strategically use all the Whitebeard Pirates moves in separate ways, and Whitebeard knowing who to target and who to put on who, and obviously using Marco in a way, and Blackbeard being here, it then gives him a victory. And so yes, finally the Yonkos do have a victory, but hey man, this is with me dragging Blackbeard onto the crew and them using a very specific strategy that Whitebeard had to literally put out on the table just so he can defeat Rocks and defeat the rest of them. So yeah, that is a W for the Whitebeard Pirates. And so yeah, with that being said, that is the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as I did enjoy making it. And yeah, basically the Rocks Pirates, yeah, they were the strongest pirate crew in history. I don't think anybody was going to disagree with that, but yeah, this is just what this video was there to showcase. But yeah, with that being said, So I'll see you guys next video. I love you all. Goodbye.